是广西杭州。那我感觉常州什么都没有。是的。我想找一些点来谈一谈，但是我找不到。尬聊，我不知道，我真找不到。你要说无锡、苏州，我都能找到。是天目湖还是无锡？我是常州的吗？都不在，不在。
哇，好尴尬呀！
是常州的吗？我一直以为是无锡的。我一直以为是无锡的。无锡天目湖现在是常州，我要查一查。
Okay, good morning everyone. Any questions before I start?
So how about the midterm?
Okay, well, I am glad you are thinking about midterm. That's certainly a good thing to think about, and believe me, I have thought about that. Okay, so we got delayed a little bit by cancelling one class. So midterm exam will cover material basically up to today. That's homework 1, 2, 3 and what I teach up to today. So my hope is that the homework that was assigned Tuesday of this week, and that's due next week Thursday, we'll try to give it back to you on subsequent Tuesday, and the midterm will be on subsequent Thursday. So I am going to delay the midterm by a week. So that means instead of having midterm, so the original plan was to have midterm next week this time. We'll delay that by a week, and I want to make sure you get your graded homework 3 back on Tuesday, that's 26th of February, and midterm will be delayed by 1 week. That will be on 28th. That's 2 weeks from today instead of 1 week from today. Is that better? Yeah, I mean we lost one class and we are a little bit behind. So it's hard to know before the semester begins how the pace will be. So let me write that down. Midterm 1, February 28th, not February 21st. Topics, chapters, well, primarily 2 to 4, also part of chapter 1. Homeworks covered 1, 2, 3, problem sets 1 to 3. Okay, any other questions? Okay, if not, let me start with where we stopped last time. So we began talking about retiming, and retiming is the process of moving delays around, and the main difference that we talked about is the fact that retiming is the process of moving delays around a feedback cut set, as opposed to pipelining, where we add delays at feed forward cut sets. So we looked at one example. Let's just maybe spend a little more time on that example. Let's see. We started with a biquad filter. In this case, I assumed the multiplication time to be 3 units of time, add was 1 unit of time. The iteration period bound is 5 because that's this loop bound here, 3 plus 1 plus 1 divided by 1. A critical path, you start with this multiply and go through that path marked here 3, 4, 5 plus 3, 8 plus 1, 9. So the goal is how do we retime this so that the critical path will be as close to the bound. Sometimes the bound may not be achievable, and we'll see some examples of that as we go on. But let's see what we did here. So in this case, we tried to. Okay, I did one retiming at this node. So that's a node retiming at this node. So if you do a node retiming at that node, replace something doesn't seem right. What happened? Well, something doesn't seem right. What did I do here? Well, okay, so I don't know what happened, but I don't know why I wrote 2 delays here. Okay, I don't have a memory of what I was doing at the end of last class. Anybody recalls? Okay, so or maybe this is a different example, I guess. Okay, that. Oh, okay, I see. So in this case, we saw that by just taking this cut set here, which is pipelining. So we pipeline. This is a feed forward cut set, data moving forward in all directions. We place delays here, and by placing delays here, we achieve the critical path of 5 because well, first of all, that critical path is broken here by that delay 3 plus 1 plus 1 5 and then 3 plus 1 plus 1 5. So we don't need any retiming. So in this problem we do not need any retiming. We can just pipeline at this feed forward cut set to achieve critical path of 5. Okay, the next example was a different example. Well, I want you to pay attention and remind me, but okay, so it certainly has been a lot. I've been gone since Sunday, and I came back at midnight last night, so I don't have memory of what I was teaching before I quickly taped on late Friday afternoon. Okay, anyway, so yeah, I see that what I was in this example, this was a different example where the inner loop had 2 delays and the outer loop now has 3 delays because 2 plus 1. So with the same multiply time of 3 and add time of 1, the bound is now 5 divided by 2. The inner loop has 2 delays, which is 2.5. The outer loop is non-critical, anyway, that doesn't matter. So the bound is 2.5. So the question is, how can we retime, in this case, and or pipeline, retime and or pipeline, so that the critical path is going to be close to 2.5. Okay, so in this example I performed one node retiming here. So out of the 2 delays, push 1 to the outgoing edges and remove 1 from here. So 2 minus 1 and add a delay here, add a delay here, add a delay here. Okay, so that's the first thing we did. Okay, so then we moved that delay, we moved this delay to internally pipeline this multiplier here. So think about, so this is now gone, that's moved to here. So the multiply time was 3, so that's 2.5 before that pipeline and 0.5 after the pipeline. 0.5 plus 1 makes that 2.5, same with here 2.5, and we placed a few pipelining cut sets. So one pipelining cut set here, one cut set here. So this is 2.5, 2.5, 2.5 and then 0.5 plus 1 plus 1. Okay, so that's kind of, so So let me, so I want you, so this is fine, this is perfectly fine in terms of thinking about node retiming, but let's take that same example and think about cut set retiming. So okay, so how many extra delays did we need here? How many extra delays? Well, let's see. Initially, with the flow graph had 3 delays, 2 plus 1, 3. And after I'm going to talk about word level delays, because obviously these are going to be these are going to be 2 word level delays, but let's not worry about that. So because these are going to be 2 word level delays, because if you have looked at how a multiplication works, we need to pipeline at a cut set where there is sum and carry both going down, and some bits will form 1 word delay, carry 1 word delay, but don't worry about that now. Okay, so we have 1, 2, just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 delays, okay, something like that. So what I want to think about now, so the same example we want to retime across a cut set. So I want you to think about the same example, and so that's a cut set I choose. So that's a cut set. So in other words, instead of thinking about the node retiming, we think about cut set retiming. So if you think about this as a cut set, data is entering to the cut set here, data is going out of the cut set, out of the cut set, out of the cut set, out of the cut set. So that means I can remove 1 delay from here, that's 1 delay, and then add 1 delay to outgoing edges of the cut set. So that's here and here. Okay. So this is a slightly different approach to thinking about retiming instead of the node retiming that we talked about in last slide. So that's the retiming cut set. And what do you see now? Well, let's take a look and see what we see now. The critical path now. So this is still 2.5, 2.5, 0.5. So the multiply is 3, add is 1, and this is 2.5, 0.5, 2.5, 2.5, 0.5. Okay. And so let's take a look. So 0.5 plus 1 plus 1, 2.5. I need to break that path because 0.5, 2. So we can add a pipelining cut set here. So 1 delay here, 1 delay here. 0.5 plus 1, 1.5, 1.5, 2.5, all 2. Okay. So then that solution is finished. So in this example, so the main advantage of this example compared to the previous solution is essentially here I performed 1 retiming at this node, and then retime this to move that inside the multiplier, move that inside the multiplier. So you can think of that as 3 retiming and 2 pipelining cut sets. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 delays instead of 10, which is slightly less. Okay, anyway, so that's so certainly practicing these kinds of things. So that's the retiming cut set. And this is the pipelining cut set. And now the critical path after retiming and pipelining is 2.5 units of time, which is what we need. Okay, any questions about this example? Yeah.
Previous page, how did you move the delay in the multiply in the lower edge? Because the delay was in the, we need to do another node retiming, right?
Okay, yeah. So what happened? So at this node retiming, I have two delays now, right? So one moved here, 1 plus 1, 2. And that, okay, I can see, I am glad you are noticing that. So, okay, so I guess, so when we do another node retiming here, I push that delay to here and also another delay here. Yeah, and then that delay gets pushed here, this one stays where it is. Okay, that's good. So, yeah, I am glad you pointed that out. That's certainly good. I will try to pass this as a lecture note for this week. So, in a way, if you think about ultimately what we have accomplished is exactly this cut set here. So, look at this cut set here, going through that and these two delays, and that's exactly, and instead of having now these two delays, we are not having these two delays sitting here, but they are pushed to retime here. That's what you were talking about. Very good, very good. First of all, I do want you to be vigilant and correct my mistakes. I mean, I can make mistakes. There is no reason to think I can't. So, be mindful, and it's good if you correct mistakes, so the whole class gets benefit of getting the mistakes clarified here. So, yes, there was a mistake in that solution, and that's actually how your points will be lost. If you miss a delay here, then the retiming is wrong, and that's you can still check these things and remember. Okay, so without that delay, let's try to see without that delay why that solution was wrong. So, initially in that path we had 2 plus 1 3 delays, okay, and now I have introduced two pipelining cut sets. So, now the number of delays through any path from input to output should increase by 2. Retiming won't increase the number of delays in a path, and we will get to that in a minute. I think I proved retiming does not increase number of delays in a loop. So, if without that delay I have 1, 2, no, not 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's where things are wrong, because now we should be having 3 initially plus 2 pipelining cut sets should be 5, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4 are not 5. So, that's why that one delay makes it 5. Okay. In fact, now that I talked about that, let me in fact prove what I just mentioned, which is retiming does not change the number of delays in a path U to V. So, when I mark like this, that's a path from U to V, and let's say from U to W1 to W2 to W3 to V as an example. So, we have some intermediate nodes, and let's call these delays as A, B, C, okay, D. So, after retiming, A becomes AR. So, AR is equal to A number of delays plus retiming of the destination node minus retiming of the source node. B after retiming will be B original plus retiming of W2 minus W1. C after retiming will be C plus retiming variable of the destination node minus the source node, and D after retiming will be retiming of the destination node minus retiming of the source node. And if you sum these up, AR plus BR plus CR plus DR, that's the number of delays in the path U to V, and here all these cancel out, W1, W2, W3, and finally we are left with what are we left with? A plus B plus C plus D. Something does not, what happened here? Okay, plus I have retiming variable. Something doesn't seem to be right. Minus B. Okay, so the number of delays. Okay, so number of delays up in a path, number of delays in a path after retiming, WR. Okay, actually retiming. Yeah, I wrote that wrong. That's not correct. So retiming. Changes the delays in a path by this amount. So retiming, okay, actually, yeah, that was wrong. That was wrong. So, but in the previous example, what I was saying was okay. So WR U in a path to V, so that's a path, as opposed to U to V is an edge. So this is an edge. Is going to be W U to V, that's the original delays, that's A plus B plus C plus D, plus the retiming variable of the destination node of the path minus the retiming variable of the source node of the path. And when the path is a loop, if V is equal to U, that means this comes back to U, U and V are same, and that becomes a loop. Then the path is a loop, and then WR U in a loop to U is equal to WU in the loop to U. Okay. So that's what I showed last time, that the retiming does not change the number of loop delays, but it changes the path delays by this amount, retiming of the destination node minus the retiming of the source node. And that means depending on this RV and RU, the number of delays in the path can either increase or decrease, okay, depending on what the retiming value is. So it can either go up or down. So in a loop, the number of delays after retiming and before retiming are same. Okay. All right. So we will get to some more details of retiming, formal retiming in a little bit, but let me just talk about a few more examples. So let's take this example here. Let's take the same example and try to understand the relationship between interleaving and retiming. So what happens when we interleave and retiming at same time? So let's try to see. So let's take this example here. We have the iteration period bound, which was 5 by 3. Okay, so let's take the interleaving factor to be 3. Let's say interleaving factor to be 3. Okay, so okay, so what I did, because it's three-way interleaved, I replaced each delay by 3 delays. So, these 2 delays became 6 delays and 1 delay became 3 delay. Okay. Okay, that's, and then the inputs here will be, let us say that we have 3 time series. So, we would input x 0, let us this x prime 0, x double prime 0, then x 1, x prime 1, x double prime 1. So, sample number 0 of x, x prime, x double prime interleaved, and then sample number 1 of these and continues. Okay. So, we need to make sure that we feed the samples of 3 time series in an interleaved manner. We could feed them in 0 operations here as well. That would be having null operations, and that is not useful. There is no point having hardware underutilization, because 2 null operations means the hardware is utilized only 1/3 of the time. Okay, so what do you think we can do to reduce the critical path? So, we want to retime to reduce the critical path here. So, how do we retime to reduce the critical path? Okay, so well, let's take a look at what we can do. Okay, so I can think about having okay. So, I have taken 3 retiming cut sets, and what that does, for each of these multipliers which took 3 units of time, these take 1, 1 and 1. So, now the multiplication time, the critical path of the each part of each pipeline stage of the multiply is reduced to 1. Okay, what else can we do? So I can then take another cut set like this. Okay, so if I do that, as you can see here, data going down and up. So now I can break the critical path from here to here, here to here by that. So let's just complete what we have done so far. So I have introduced 4 retiming cut sets. So this now has 2 delays. This has 2 delays, and each of these markings has a delay. So delay, 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 and one more removed here. There is a delay here. There is a delay here. Okay. So now the critical path everywhere is 1. Everywhere is 1. So to break that chain 1 to 1, I can have a pipelining cut set finally. So there is 1 delay here and another delay here. Okay. So now you can see that the critical path is now 1. Okay. So having 4 okay. So if the critical path is 1, what do you think is the sample period? So in this particular solution with 4 retiming cut sets, what is the sample period in this solution? Any volunteers? So the clock period is 1, critical path is 1. What's the sample period? Well, the sample period is the time to process the next sample. So that's the time delay between the sample 0 and sample 1 of time series x. Sample number 1 to sample number 2 of time, and that's because it's three-way interleaved. The sample period is going to be interleaving factor times the critical path, which is 3 units of time. Is that making sense? So, you can also, if you so desire, you can take the delay between x prime 0 to x prime 1 or x double prime 0 to 1. So, because it is three-way interleaved, and if the clock period is a t, the sample period is 3 times t, because the consecutive samples of the same time series are input with 3 clock cycle difference. So, the sample period is a 3 times clock period. Okay. So, are we achieving this so called optimal solution here? Remember that the iteration period bound was 5 by 3, which is 1.6666 etc. So, so the iteration period bound is 1.67, and in this case the iteration period bound is the sample period is 3. So, any thoughts about how, well, first of all, is it possible, or is it possible to achieve a sample period of 1.67? Is it possible? I guess that's kind of what I am asking. Is it possible to achieve a sample period of something doesn't seem right. I again made a mistake here. I am not sure why. Something is, this should be 5 by 2, which is 2.5. There are 2 delays in the inner loop. So, this is 2.5. Okay. So, yeah, something was not right. Yeah, that's so the iteration bound is 2.5, and so we are close. Okay, we are very close. We are achieving 3, which is not the iteration period bound. So, let us say how do we achieve a sample period of 2.5? How do we achieve? Well, 3 times something should be 2.5, which means what? Which means the clock period should be 5 by 6. So, is it possible to retime? So, the critical path is now 5 by 6, and guess what? There are 2 of the delays sitting here, and they are not being fully utilized. So, in order to achieve, any time we have these delays that could be used further. So, if I want to achieve so, let us say that we want sample period to be the iteration period bound, which is 2.5, and that means the clock period or the critical path should be 5 by 6. Okay, that is 2.5 by 3, 2.5 by 3, and 3 is because of the interleaving. Okay, so how can we achieve 5 by 6? Okay, let's take a look at the same thing and see what happens. We can try to see what happens. Okay, so we start like this. So we start with first cut set. That's 5 by 6. Okay. The next one, how many do we need within 3? So so now that's 5 by 6. We need 4. Okay. 20 by 6. Yeah. Okay. So 20 by 6 is more than 3, and so now we have 15 by 6, which is 2.5, and that means we have 0.5 left. Each one of these is 0.83, something like that. So and then we need to add. So this is half plus x is 5 by 6, x is 2 by 6, which is 1/3. Is that true? Okay, so so this half plus 1/3 here makes 5 by 6. So we take another cut set. And that is 1/3 and 1/3. So we are left with 2/3. Okay, 2/3 plus what is 5 by 6? 2/3 plus 1 by 6. 2/3 plus 1 by 6 is 5 by 6. Okay. So okay, so we can think about think about this. Okay, let's think about this. So we had 6 delays and 4 are gone. So we still have. So think about how we pipeline. Okay, even so 2/3. So this is 2/3 plus 1 by 6. 1 by 6. And then that will be 5 by 6. Okay, how do you think we pipeline that add? How do you think we would pipeline that add? Well, here is how it would work. So think about, I can add a delay here. That's just a feed forward cut set. So you can think about adding number of delays at the input or output doesn't really matter. That simply adds a latency that delays the computation. A certain output, instead of being available in clock cycle n, now is available in clock cycle n plus 1. And now if you think about another retiming can be any way you want. It doesn't really matter. Well, I could actually take this retiming. Well, let's just take like that. It doesn't matter. So now I have a delay here. So now we will do a node retiming. So I've done 5. I've used up 5 delays after retiming. So I get one delay here, and this delay are pushed to this pipelining cut set here. So this node retiming will push this delay and this delay, that's the incoming edges, and move that to the intermediate part of the adder internal pipelining. Now that's 1 by 6. Well, okay, I probably didn't draw that right. That's 1 by 6 like this, and then 5 by 6 like that. Okay. So now out of the 6 we have used a 5, so you leave 1 here. Why do we need to leave 1 here? Because that 5 by 6 does not propagate, and then I will need well, I probably will need okay, that 5 by 6 still can propagate here. Maybe we can add another couple of cut sets here. So well, okay, I could do a little better by, so this was 2/3, and I could push something inside, but anyway, that's kind of, that gives you an idea of how we can now achieve the clock period to be 5 by 6, which means the sample period will be that times 3, which will be 2.5, which we know is the best you can do. Have I confused anyone? Okay, I have confused everyone. Well, that's it's good to be confused now, but I don't want you to be confused by the time you submit your homework next week. You have 1 week to read the book, and I should say that well, the book is 20 years old, so what I am teaching often is not from the book, because the book was written 20 years ago. Okay, well, think about this. Let me, so this is probably a good time just to walk through the next homework and see what those problems are telling you to do, and then we'll get to a little more about formal approach to retiming. By the way, how was the Verilog? Was it difficult for many of you or not that hard? How many found it very, very hard? Sorry, you did not. So, okay. Huh? Lot of time debugging. Well, the question is that time lost? Well, any time you are losing time, don't ever think of that as time lost. That's really time well used, believe me. Now, when you start doing your research, a year and a half goes by and you haven't accomplished very much. You think that time was wasted. All on a sudden, in 2 or 3 days, you make a big jump and discover some new things. And why were you able to discover in 2 or 3 days? Well, that's because you have been thinking about it for a long time, and the year and a half that you thought was lost is inside your brain thinking about the next step, and that comes all on a sudden. These ideas come all on a sudden. I mean, that's kind of research. Great ideas will often come instantly, and well, that's how it works. Great ideas come instantly. If you haven't seen how Ramanujan used to get ideas, see the movie The Man Who Knew Infinity. How many of you have seen the movie The Man Who Knew Infinity? Some of you. Good. Well, I am not going to tell how he got those ideas, but you have to watch the movie. Well, he got the ideas instantly, there is no doubt about that. Okay. Well, let's take a quick look. Okay, so the first couple of problems are simple applications of the iteration bound methods, the minimum cycle mean, and the longest path matrix method. So that's kind of this is pretty trivial. I mean, there is not a lot going on here. There are 5 delays, so you will create a data flow graph that has 5 nodes. Each delay, you can call this D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, and then create a data flow graph with the longest path from delay to delay. So that's the L1 matrix, and then you can continue. What I think, by the way, these kinds of problems are, many of them are from old exams, so I'm just giving as many. I do create a few new ones. So I do recall the main challenge here is it's easy to miss a couple of paths when you create L1. And there are 3 delays here, but it may be easy to miss the certain paths that L1 may be wrong. But that's kind of from an old exam long ago, maybe even 15 years ago. Okay, so this is really a pipelining problem. So what I have asked you to do here is, so this is some dummy computation. There is some dummy computation going on, and describes what the computation is, and the multiply is 10 units of time and add is 4 units of time. There is a little mystery to the problem. I am not going to tell you the mystery right now because I want you to think about it. And so anyway, so there is, if you are not successful, we will demystify this later on. Okay. So, so this asks to pipeline this. This is nothing to do with retiming. This is a pipelining problem, finding the right cut sets. This is all feed forward. All cut sets will be feed forward cut sets, so you can pipeline by placing delays anywhere. And so there is a small mystery, but which I am not telling right now. So the next problem asks you to manually pipeline retiming. So that's kind of what I've been doing. So this is kind of what I've been doing right now. So in some sense, problem 4 is really what I've been working out all this time. Problem 5 is saying that this is a biquad problem, biquad data flow graph, second order digital filter. The inner loop has 1 delay, the outer loop has 2 delays. These are just drawn differently, and I could spend a little time. Well, we'll see if I can spend a little time. There are 120 solutions, unique retiming solutions, and we'll talk about how and why that's 120, maybe next class. So to solve this problem, that's not relevant. So maybe next class I will talk briefly about why that's 120, and it asks you to find 10 unique retiming solutions by observation. Okay, so that's that problem. Problem 6, that's a trivial problem by so the goal here is to, so these are some blocks that are computing something. We don't know what they're computing, but the goal is to make sure these are pipelined at interstage block level, inter-block pipelining, and so that simply, this is a very trivial problem. So that's kind of removing one delay. So let's see here, if I remove one delay from here, that becomes 4, that becomes 6. You add here, and that's 2. So now you can see that each and every communicating edge from forward and backward has 1 delay. So that's called interblock pipelining. It's a trivial problem. So there is nothing big going on. Here I can't do what I did in the previous example. So so when I say slow down, that's really slow down means interleaving. So think about how to achieve interblock pipelining with combination of interleaving and retiming. So think about that. Okay, this is kind of an old exam problem that is probably somewhat involved, but it's better to do this as a homework than taking the exam, so you have more time to think about it. This one is, first of all, we have to show that this so-called direct form filter is equivalent to this hybrid form filter. So it asks you to show the steps to get to that. So the first thing is you redraw this add paths so that data is moving backward, and then you find the right retiming, and so through a few steps you can show that this direct form is equivalent to this hybrid form, and the critical path now is 1 multiply 2 adds as opposed to 1 multiply 9 adds, because it's a 10-tap filter. And it talks about so there are certain things to think about here, which well, you will read that and think about, and that's kind of well, somewhat involved, but the goal of these two problems, problem 7 and 8, are really to find out. The goal of these two problems is to understand if you can apply the notion of reducing power consumption by reducing supply voltage. It's not as direct as the examples I showed in the class, but it's a little more involved, and you have to think about what's the capacitance that's being charged or discharged, what's the total capacitance consuming power. So being able to apply those two equations not in the trivial way that I applied in the class to pipelining and parallel processing, but to circuits in general. So that's intent of those two problems. The last problem is a very, very simple. I just want to do a sanity check. You take this part B and whatever you pipelined and you found, run this through Verilog and see, in fact, well, see what was the original time and what's the time of the pipeline solution. Original computation and then pipeline computation. So this is a little, here I can tell you some things that without, so when you pipeline by placing cut sets, okay, so think about this. What I want you to learn from that pipelining exercise is, so if you have this switch here, and this switch is connecting in even clock cycles to that and odd clock cycles to that. So there are a couple of things that I want you to learn through the exercise here. One is that if I place a pipelining cut set here and place a delay here and a delay here and delay here, these switch instances must change, and that's what I want you to understand, because if you don't do that, in the Verilog you will get all the wrong solutions. Why? Because this was connecting to even clock cycles. After adding a pipeline delay, whatever was here in even clock cycles now is here in odd clock cycles. So you have to change the time. If I had one more delay, if I had one more cut set, then that is back to even cycles. So anytime you introduce pipeline pipelining cut sets in switched circuits, these are multiplexers. So you need to change the time instances of the multiplexers. That's what I want you to learn from this exercise, and in writing the Verilog code, so you know that the output coming out of the original system and the pipeline system are same, otherwise they will be different. The second thing I want you to understand from the Verilog exercise is that when you think about these switches, well, I want you to be able to create simple control circuits. In this case, because the switch is periodic with period 2, you need a 1-bit counter. Okay, so 1-bit counter will give you even and odd cycles, and then implement that as a multiplexer with that control signal C. So these are the multiplication with A and B, this is an add. Okay. So these are coming here, the whatever was 2L here. So you will create a control signal that is you will create a 1-bit control signal, and that is 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. So that will be 0, 1, 0, 1, etc. from a 1-bit counter. So it will be 1-bit counter and maybe another gate or so. So think about some very simple random logic and a 1-bit counter to create this control signal C. Okay, that's what I want you to think about. Well, that's kind of a review of homework to come. So let me say that, so now that the first, okay, before you leave, make sure you collect your graded homework. If you want me to discuss any homework in particular after the solution is posted, send me an email, and if if you think that some ideas were not clear, it's a good idea to review. The process of learning in this class is, well, in any class, not just this class, the process of learning in any class is not to go to class and listen to instructor. That's not learning. You will come and sit here all semester and you will get out of the class learning very little. The process of learning is by doing homework. And so you do the homework, and then I post the solutions, and still if you don't understand, do send me an email. Dr. Pari, I couldn't understand solution to problem number 3. Could you please review that in the class? And I am here to help you learn. And that means I don't have any clue as to what you are finding easy or finding hard. So feel free at any time to send me an email. So if you are having a hard time following something, and send me an email, well, by all means come to office hour as well. So that's kind of I haven't really begun talking about the formal retiming yet, because I've been talking about applications of retiming in critical path reduction by simple examples, because that's ultimately what will come in your exam, by looking at circuits and manually inspecting them, finding the right retiming cut set or the right retiming across the node and so on. So it's good to get experience with those kinds of things. Okay, I think I'm now ready to talk about the formal method of creating retiming solutions. Retiming is part of part of all CAD tools. Anytime you synthesize something, these systems are always retiming. They are not necessarily retiming in terms of the pipeline multipliers, but otherwise they are pushing delays around to reduce critical path. Retiming can also be used, I think, all of you know pipelining can be used to reduce power consumption, and so can retiming. Retiming can also be used to reduce power consumption, and we'll probably talk about that maybe at some point. Okay, so let me talk about how does retiming work. So I briefly talked about what retiming does. It defines a retimed number of delays after retiming as original delays W u to v plus the retiming variable of the destination node minus the retiming variable of the source node. Okay, that's kind of what we talked about. Okay, so in general, so we are interested in solving for the R variables. So solve for the retiming variables, okay, that vector. How do we solve that? Well, it turns out that the retiming variables are obtained by satisfying a set of constraints. So in this case, we think about two constraints. So retiming solving for R requires two constraints, satisfying two constraints. So the first constraint is called the feasibility constraint, which means that W R u to v must be greater than 0 for all edges u to v. So what is that telling us? This is telling us that after retiming, the number of delays on every edge should be greater than or equal to 0. Let us say that I found some retiming R such that WR is minus 2. Well, we can't have negative delays. Negative delays are advanced operations. They are predictors. They are non-causal operations. Anytime you think about computability, you think about causality, and having negative delays is not satisfying causality. That is a predictive operation. I want to predict the information 2 time samples from now based on all the data that I have available, and you can do that based on any number of adaptive filter algorithms, maybe the least mean squared adaptive filter or any number of predictors. Okay, so that's kind of the causality constraint. feasibility constraint, we say the data flow graph is feasible if the number of delays after retiming is non-negative for each and every edge. The second constraint, so that's kind of easy to see. The second constraint is called the critical path constraint. So, the critical path constraint says if the propagation delay or if the delay or the propagation delay in certain path u to v, okay, I didn't say that explicitly, but this is how retiming works. Retiming begins with an input called the target clock period C or the target critical path C. So, we input a quantity C as a target clock period to the retiming problem, and retiming problem comes back as false. That means we cannot meet that target clock period, or if it is feasible, then it gives us these R variables. Okay. So, so if the propagation delay in certain path u to v is greater than C, then W r u to v in that path must be greater than or equal to 1. What is that telling us? It is saying that let us say I am trying to achieve, I am asking the question, is it possible to retime the circuit to achieve a clock period of 20 time units, and let us say there exists a path with propagation delay 30 units of time. That says that 30 units of time must be broken by having at least one delay in that path. After retiming, we must always have one delay in the path, at least one delay. Otherwise, we may not meet the critical path constraint. That is why it is called the critical path constraint, because if the critical path is C, so that's C, critical path is C, and so okay, so that's so any solution that satisfies these two constraints, the feasibility constraint and the critical path constraint, is a valid solution to the retiming variables R if it is feasible. Sometimes it may not be achievable to meet the clock period constraint C. Okay, so all right. So, the first constraint, now the feasibility constraint, so the retiming number of delays after retiming WR is W u to V plus the retiming of this destination node minus the source node should be greater than or equal to 0, which means that R V minus R u, well, let us write like this, W u to V must be greater than or equal to R u minus R V, which can be written as R u minus R V should be less than or equal to W u to V. So, that is kind of the first. So, that is the every edge in the data flow graph. If there are 100 edges, we will have 100 constraints like this. So, for each and every edge from u to V, R u, the source node retiming minus the destination node retiming, must be less than or equal to the number of delays in the edge u to V in the original data flow graph. So, this is inequality for every edge. So, ultimately we have to solve for these inequalities. So, the solution to these inequalities will be the retiming variables. Okay, so that is kind of the first constraint. This is the feasibility constraint. What about the critical path constraint? The critical path constraint says that for every path if d u to v is greater than c, then w r u to v. So, w r is a w u to v. So, that is a path plus retiming variable of the destination node minus the retiming variable of the source node should be greater than or equal to 1, which means that w u to v minus 1 should be greater than or equal to r u minus r v, which means that r u minus r v must be less than or equal to w u to v, w in the path u to v minus 1. So, that's the inequality that we need to solve for each and every path where the propagation delay is greater than the target clock period c. So, so how do you compute d? So, there is a certain way that we need to compute d. So, to compute d, we d u to v, the path u to v, we need to find the critical path from u to v with fewest number of delays. This is kind of important, fewest number of delays. And we will so let me take a simple example. Let us say that I have an example A to B to C to D, and I have an edge from A to C and an edge from C to X and X to D, and I have an edge from B to D. So, let us say that in this case the time units are 10, 5, 20, 10, 10, and let us say that B to C has 1 delay and B to D has 5 delays, let us say. Okay. So, this is kind of an example, and I want to compute. How do I compute? So, in this example, how do we compute? Okay. So, so if I am interested in the path A to D, so what is a D? So, what is a d A to D? So, D, the D that I have been talking about, which is the propagation delay from u to v. So, the first question we ask is what is the path A to D with fewest number. So, there are many possible paths. Well, A, B, C, D, A, C, D, A, B, D, A, C, X, D. So, there are many possible paths. So, if I take A to B to C to D, A to B to D, A to C to D, A to C to X to D. So, what is the number of delays? W of that path, W A to D, so A, B, C, D, this is 1. So, this one has 1 delay. A, B, D has 5 delays. A, B, D has 5 delays. A, C, D, A, C, D, 0 delays. A, C, X, D has 0 delays. So, the way we compute the D A to D, so that means find path or paths in this case with least with W mean. Okay, so that's kind of minimum number of delays, and in this case there are two paths that have 0 delays, and then take with W mean and max propagation delay D. So what is the propagation delay ACD? 10 plus 20 plus 10. So that propagation delay is a 10 plus 20 plus 10, which is 40, and ACXD 10 plus 20 plus 10 plus 10, which is 50. So that's how out of these we conclude that the maximum propagation delay dA to D is the max. So first you pick W mean, which are these two, and then out of all these paths that have W mean delays, take the max max delays. That's kind of how you compute D. So D, the D of a path, propagation delay of a path must be chosen such that that path has the least number of delays from all possible paths from A to D and has the maximum propagation delay. Okay, so that's kind of, and it intuitively makes sense because we want to break those paths that have fewest number of delays. Okay, so well, we are almost running out of time, but let me, so these are the two sets of constraints, and how do you solve a let me take an example from the book, and then maybe let me just take an example from the book so that I can show you how to solve. Okay, so how do we solve? So we now have a number of inequalities. How do we solve? So here is an example. This is example from page 103. So okay, this is from page 103. So here are some. So we have R1 minus R3 or R2. Is that the example or there was another example? Maybe solving sets of inequalities. Okay, this is actually, let's take a different. This is a page 96. Page 96. Example 4.3.1. So R1 minus R2 is less than or equal to 0. R3 minus R1 less than or equal to 5. R4 minus R1 less than or equal to 4. R4 minus R3 less than or equal to minus 1. R3 minus R2 less than or equal to 2. So we have 4 unknowns, R1, R2, R3, R4, and these are the 5 inequalities, and we want to solve for solutions to R that satisfy that inequality. Okay, that's kind of, if we understand how to do that, then we are done. Okay, that's kind of how the retiming works. And the best way to do that is we write down these nodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and every so R1 is less than or equal to R2 plus 0. So R2 plus 0. R3 is less than or equal to R1 plus 5. R3 is less than R1 plus 5. R4 is less than R1 plus 4. R4 is less than or equal to R3 minus 1. R3 is less than R2 plus 2. Okay. So now I have shown all these edges. Okay, how do you solve finally this problem? You introduce a dummy node, let's call it node number 5, and edge weights from this to all other dummy nodes are marked to be 0. And here is final step. So the shortest paths, find shortest path from the dummy node, node 5, to node I is Ri. Ri. So, if we have 100 retiming 100 inequalities, then you basically run through the Bellman-Ford algorithm and find the shortest path from the dummy node to all other nodes, all other 100 nodes, all 100 nodes, and that's how we can get one solution to the retiming algorithm, if it is possible. When do you think it won't be possible? If there exists a negative cycle, then you won't have a solution. That means the retiming solution does not exist. That means the target clock period is not feasible. This is a good time to stop. We will continue from right here, and we will talk about how to ultimately get to the minimum clock period. Okay, so I see that many of you turned in homework, so please turn in your homeworks if you have not turned it yet. I will hand out your graded homework. Rajat? I have